Hi guys, and welcome back to another video, and today we're doing something a bit different. I'm going over the 5 albums that define my metal journey. There are probably hundreds and thousands of albums out there, but there's always going to be those few that really shape and define a certain period in your life, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. I want you to write down below what were 5 albums that really define your metal journey. But without wasting my time, give this video a like, subscribe, and let's jump right in. Alright, so to kick this off, we're going back in time to the early 2000s. That's right. Skateboarding was still cool, skinny jeans weren't a thing yet, and I was a very young and inexperienced music lover. Honestly, this first album we're going to talk about, I kind of discovered on complete accident because, fun fact, back then, there was no Spotify, there was no Apple Music. We didn't even have YouTube at a certain point in those years. So discovering new music was done through one of 3 methods, at least I can think of. The radio. Now that's what I call music, if anybody actually listens to those albums anymore. And the music channel on TV. There's also word of mouth, but if nobody else knows new music, then it's not going to be very useful. So pretty much randomly one day, I was on the music channel on TV, and boom, there it was. Linkin Park, a name so synonymous with the early 2000s, it's like tea and British people.
Hello there.
And before I knew it, I got the album Meteora. And honestly, it was a defining moment for me in the sense that I really didn't know what music I liked up until that point. But as soon as I listened to Linkin Park, it was just clicked. It all just clicked. I had opened my third eye and I was there. And I knew it was it. And Meteor just killed it for me. And I remember buying it and just listening to Numb on repeat for like months. In fact, it wasn't until months later that I was like, oh shit, there's other songs on this album. But that is where it all started. Linkin Park, Meteora. So just out of curiosity, I wonder how many other people, write down in the comments, your start was with Linkin Park. Because I'm going to suspect it was a lot of people, especially if you were growing up in the early 2000s. But anyway, let's move on. All right, now we are moving into the teenage years. Not the angsty years yet. We're going to get to that in a second. But this is just before those years happened. So we're going to do a bit of a guessing game to see if you can guess what band it's going to be. So here's some clues. 1, I just picked up the electric guitar. 2, I'm a metalhead. And 3, I just learned what a power chord was. Can you guess what band I'm talking about? I'll give you a chance to pause the video and write down below, but in 5 seconds I'm going to tell you. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's right. It was Metallica. Well done, everyone. Well done. It was Metallica. Of course it was going to be. Literally my entire friend group, who were all a bunch of guitars, we all gravitated to Metallica. Because honestly, if you just knew how to downpick on your guitar, which most of us did, and you had to play power chords, yeah, you got it. And specifically, it's the album Master of Puppets, because of course it was gonna be. I remember first time listening to Master of Puppets, the title track, and I was blown away. I was a bit weirded out for the fact that up until this point, I hadn't listened to minute-long intros from bands, so to hear it was mind-blowing. And I just remember going through the entire track list of Master of Puppets, trying to learn as much as I could. The licks for Master of Puppets, or Sanitarium, Welcome Home, Disposable Heroes with those opening riffs, Battery. Just Battery. What a fucking banger of a track. That was all I was playing non-stop on my guitar. I loved it. And this just started also my guitar journey in a way. So yeah, Master of Puppets, another killer album. All right, now we're getting into the angsty phase. I'm 14. I hate the world. I hate myself. I needed music that reflected that. And of course, this brings in metalcore. Yep, we got our Bullet for My Valentine, As I Lay Dying, before they went south, Asking Alexandria, Miss May I, Trivium, the list goes on. But there was one band that stood out amongst them all for me, and that was the band August Burns Red. Absolute legends, and I discovered them when they just put out the Leveler album. It just blew my mind, specifically the track Poor Millionaire. That was the first one I heard. It blew my mind because I hadn't heard something that technical yet, and I think the band sort of identifies as sort of technical metalcore, melodic metalcore. Like, it's the complex kind of metalcore. A lot of noodling, a lot of like licks, and I just gravitated to that so easily. I picked up my guitar and I was trying to learn as much as I could. I actually love the band so much, and specifically the guitarist JB, not that JB, but JB Brubaker. And in fact, I loved him so much, I actually bought the guitar that he had, not exactly his guitar, but it was the Ibanez RGA 32, I think it was called. I'll put a picture somewhere. And I just remember learning his parts non-stop. And if you're a newer guitar player, this shit's not easy. Tracks like Poor Millionaire, for example, Emperor, Meddler, all these were just so like, what the hell? How do people play this? Honestly, I think this was probably my longest period with one band, because when I discovered them, I actually moved schools and went into a school where I was the only metalhead. So I wasn't getting any new metal music. So I pretty much was with ABR all the way till my university years when I turned 18, which we're going to get into now. So going into uni, I was still a bit wet behind the ears. I thought myself I was pretty big metalhead. And then when I went to uni, I realized I really wasn't. I was just kind of a poser, if anything. And then all of a sudden, I was introduced to the band Tool. Specifically, the album was 10,000 Days. I eventually went back and listened to Lateralis, but for some reason, 10,000 Days was just the one that hit just right. I liked the flow of it. Vicarious was just a real nice banger. The first track I actually listened to was Rosetta Stone, and I didn't even notice the length. It was so engaging and just so, easy to listen to. But yeah, so 10,000 Days, that was the one for me. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was definitely one of those people who thought Tool was the greatest band of all time because of how they created their music. And honestly, for a progressive band, they were very accessible to me. Like all their time signatures and grooves and all that sort of stuff, they were very complicated, but overall it was still very accessible. It was still kind of easy to listen to. And again, not gonna lie, I was definitely one of those people who were just like, bro, they used the Fibonacci sequence in a song. Oh! That's right, their songwriting was blowing my mind the same way when I discovered that water was the greatest drink on earth. Stay hydrated. But pretty much because of this music, I got into psychedelic artwork, especially Alex Gray's artwork, which is just fantastic. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Getting into the chakra, spirituality, and trying certain herbs in conjunction with listening to this music in an effort to find myself in university. Oh no, I just realized, so I'm in uni, I'm trying to find myself, I'm listening to Tool, I'm trying certain herbs, and if you didn't know, during this time period, I was also a barista at a specialty coffee shop. God, I'm cringe. I'm literally the cringiest hipster. I'm literally hipster 101. Yeah, this is too cringe. I'm moving on. And now, finally, we're gonna get to our last album, and that is none other than Renaissance by Polytheia. Do you think that was going to be the one? Did you guess correctly? Probably not. Pretty much with all the other albums I've talked to before, when I've listened to these new albums, it was just clicking like straight away. It was like love at first sight. And it was the same with Polytheia. The first track I heard from them was Euphoria off the Renaissance. And it just made me realize how beautiful music can be. Because up until this point, every song I've ever listened to had a vocalist. And this was that defining moment where I realized that instrumental music is just as amazing. Because Polytheia, they just know how to write like these vocal lines, but for the guitar, and it's so beautiful. And this eventually led me down the rabbit hole of Intervals, Chon, Animals as Leaders, like all these insane bands that do not need a vocalist to get their message across. And I thought that was just really cool. At the time when I was a barista, there wasn't many songs or albums I could play in the coffee shop because they all had to be easy listening. But the few exceptions I did have were Polytheia and of course Chon. It resulted in, I think, when I was looking up the songs of the decade for the Spotify rap, of course Polytheia had to be there, because for about the period of 2 years I was playing Renaissance on the coffee shop speakers non-stop. So fun fact there. But anyway, those were my 5 albums that defined my metal journey. Hope you enjoyed this video, and of course write down below what were the 5 albums that defined your journey in metal. But besides that, thank you for watching, stay hydrated, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!